All right. Hey, y'all. Thank you for joining us on Rooted in Progress. Coming off the heels of Women's History Month, we have a phenomenal woman here going through all of the things that she does in our community and the help that she provides as a licensed mental health counselor.
Yes, Rooted in Progress starts now.
The Rooted in Progress Stream Center. Looks like we have a full house. Naisha was distracting us, trying to take a photo as we were coming out to talk to y'all. But it is Thursday. We're feeling great. It's your favorite people in the world.
Yes.
Middlebrook and Deanne King. How you doing, friend?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Deanne?
I'm good.
Yeah?
It's a Rooted Day.
It is Rooted Day.
Somehow
it's the highlight of the week. Highlight of the week. We make it to Thursday. The weekend is around the corner.
It is.
Yes.
It is. We appreciate everybody joining us live. Today's conversation, it might get a little deep. It's going to be a really good one, but we want y'all to engage and join the conversation. So be sure if you are live on the WFLA app, you can join us on the WFLA Facebook page right now. If you want to get in on the conversation, ask any questions or give any input, share stories, however y'all feeling on this Thursday.
Yeah, we highly recommend. We love reading you all's questions, and we want you to be a part of the show.
All right, let's get to it. Our guest, she is a personal friend of mine, so I'm going to just go ahead and put that out there. Because I have like 12 friends. Maybe 7 on a good day.
No way. Every time you turn around, there's some type of backstory to every person that come through.
But listen, love her. She is one of the kindest, sweetest, most caring, such a giving person, which makes sense with her being a licensed mental health counselor and being in this community, doing the phenomenal work that she does to help all of us as much as we possibly can. Let's give it up for Dr. Carmen Smith, who came across the bridge to be with us today. Friend?
Yes.
Good morning.
Happy to do it, and good morning.
Yes.
How are you today?
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
Excited for you to be here.
Yes.
Man, we're going to dive right into this because this is a topic that we don't want to waste a single minute.
Yeah, we definitely don't. I want the folks to get to know you and who you are, because Tampa is not new to you. You true to this.
Yes.
You are born and raised across the bridge over
Florida
in
born
Pinellas
Clearwater.
County.
Yeah.
Yes, Morton Plant baby, as we like to say. You know, your true Floridians, Morton Plant babies.
That's pretty much rare. It's rare these days that you run into someone who's still actually from Tampa that lives still in Tampa. You know, so.
What was life like growing up for you in Pinellas County?
Ooh, very interesting, because I was all over the Bay in that way. Involved in so many school activities, community activities, in JROTC, in track, in football. Very much a part of my school and church community in Pinellas County. And then later on moving into Tampa Bay at USF.
Yes. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls. 2-time Bull.
Come on.
Both my undergrad and my master's are from USF Tampa campus.
What made you want to stay, though?
I think it was the program. I applied at different programs, but it was really, and I know that at first the undergrad, like generic, right? So my bachelor's is in psychology, but it was really the program and wanting to be in this area and continue to be connected. At that time, I was still connected with my church and working through volunteering with Metropolitan Ministries. Okay. So there were other things that kept me anchored here in addition to the schooling.
Who or what had the biggest influence on your career today?
I have been impacted by so many like wonderful mentors. I would say in the beginning, it would have been a friend that I helped in high school.
Really?
Because that was the shift for me. When I was younger, I was a peculiar child.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to put it.
I had some peculiarities. I like to stage battlefields with my dolls and my G.I. Joes and my Mr. T's and go do triage. I wanted to be a surgeon. So I would break them apart and stage them. And then in high school, I had a coach that actually recommended I become a football trainer, because that would allow me to work with the team for injuries and learning about that, learning more about how to assist and triage when, you know, incidents happen. And then I realized very quickly that, you know, bodies are not dolls. And there's a lot of blood and misshapen parts that can happen on a football field. And it was a friend that was struggling. And for whatever reason, I was able to connect with her at an event that happened after a football game. And during that struggle and how I was able to reach her and how much trust she put in me in that moment shifted the way I thought of what help would look like. And so after that is when I started considering, hey, maybe I take this God-given gift of safekeeping and creating safe spaces and see if I could do something else with it.
Wow.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No.
Deanna. Well, I was going to say, now, did you grow up? Was your parents that way? Was your mom always either giving or loving on others to kind of make you embrace that?
We are a serving family.
Yeah.
So yes, my parents were both law enforcement. My father, military, retired. He's since passed, but he was a Vietnam vet.
Wow.
And so giving of the community and very much diligent in their child rearing. Making sure that I was very connected in the things that I needed to do and absolutely caring. My mother, she's one of those, she don't play about her child. I
love that.
She does not, hey.
Yeah.
So I would say that it did. That spirit, that was the culture of our home.
Yeah.
Is to be connected and always thirsting for knowledge, seeking to improve our competencies in different areas. My mom would always challenge me in that way. And I think that continued even throughout until my doctoral program. I mean, yes, even today, but if we're talking about that pushing and challenging, very much.
Right.
Wow. Through your business, you help a lot of people facing wide-ranging issues, whether it's PTSD, anxiety, drug addiction, grief. Particularly grief. How did you know you wanted to go into that space in the mental health world?
The grief space in particular, or just the area of therapy?
The area
in the
of
mental
therapy.
health, the area of therapy. I think that it came down to understanding how my brain works with things. Like I said, I started out with psychology and then I moved into mental health counseling. And then from there, even further differentiated into marriage and family therapy, which is more about systems and understanding that we move in systems. We are not islands, as we say. And that aligned with what help looks like. It looks like working with people that are connected with other people and helping them when they're stuck. And then it was different areas, right? Then the other certifications came as I noticed there were themes in the people that I was working with, like grief and neurodiversity, and understanding that there are times when working with younger children that the whole family could really benefit from support as much as some parents would like to make sure their child is connected with a therapist, absolutely. And then working with them and realizing we could really support this family. And in doing that, uplift them and get them past wherever they're stuck.
So, there's a stigma for, I would even speak on Black males in general, but specifically Black males, about going to see a therapist. Could you give us a little bit of advice as to how important it is for not just a male, not just a Black male, but for all people to seek some kind of therapy?
Absolutely. And I acknowledge I'm biased, right? I'm in the business of change.
Yes.
I believe change is possible and that healing is possible when we are open to it. And I know that we have come a long ways in addressing the stigmas around mental health. Yeah. It is more open, more accessible. People will talk about it openly. And so what I would encourage is that whenever we hear someone talking about it, or if we notice that there is a person struggling, that we are approaching with love, kindness, and understanding, and not shaming, belittling, or demeaning because somebody might benefit from just having a conversation with someone. A lot of times it's coming in and let's just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't need to be this overly structured. And so tell me how you feel about that.
Yeah.
That inviting people into the space, and that invitation starts before they come into my office. The invitation starts when they're existing in communities.
But how do you make that? I often wonder how a therapist navigates. Well, I know how you navigate in real life, right? But outside of like an intimate friend space, right? Like, let's say it's just kind of like a random group of different people. You're at an event, networking, things like that. Are you kind of like wondering if they need a therapist and am I the one for them? Or do you analyze certain conversations and somehow say like, hey, I'm here if you need me, but not even as necessarily like a friend, but that's what you're talking about, right? Like in community, creating that open space where people feel like, I do feel comfortable with this woman and what she brings to the table. Like, how do you make people take the step to call you and say, hey, I need help, or hey, I just want to have a conversation?
Absolutely. It reminds me of a joke in our field. How many therapists does it take to change a light bulb? None. The light bulb has to want to change.
Oh.
So
that ain't no joke. That's deep.
I'm trying to find the punchline in that one.
Like,
I'm over here like,
the light gotta change too.
Damn, I'm the light bulb. I'm the light bulb.
Yeah. Because
change.
we cannot, right? I am not in control of change. My job is to provide an opportunity for change. And I think that when you're asking me of how I move through the world, we want to remember that people don't want to be psychoanalyzed when they are just enjoying a movie or an event. And that's work for us. You talk to any therapist and they will tell you, we have this unique position of moving 100 miles a minute in our mind, tracking all the things that are going on with the person in front of us, their affect, their behaviors, their statements, anchoring it into evidence-based interventions. There's a lot going on cognitively and still trying to maintain a safe, calm presence.
Yeah.
So that's work. So we don't want to be working all the time. So what it is, though, I think it's our way of being. When you're asking me, how do I encourage, how do I create the invitation? I think it's the way that I be. And just letting people know that I'm available and just being open and accessible. There's a way of moving that people can feel that you don't have to speak it. And if you know what I do and you know where I am and connected in the community, I think that helps engender people and bring them along.
Who do you think should seek a therapist? And the reason why I ask that, because everybody, we're all surrounded by media, social media, the administration, the conflict that's going on in the Middle East. We're constantly surrounded by negativity. If I'm a person that's listening to this conversation right now, the first thing I may say is, oh, I don't need a therapist. Do you find that being true? Or do you think that we all need to see some type of therapist?
Yeah,
right?
I think there are varying degrees. And I do think that everyone could benefit from a sit-down conversation to do a check-in. Even when I'm working with people, I remind them from the first session, my job is to work myself out of a job. It is a very interesting profession that I have chosen for myself.
Wow.
Right? So my job is not to continue to support you in ways that enable you to be stuck or dependent on your therapist. Right? So I think that even just coming in for a check-in and a tune-up is something that can let you know, hey, could I benefit from some additional sessions or additional check-ins? Or is this something that like, okay, I'm able to manage this where I'm at?
I like that.
Right.
A tune-up.
Because I've heard of like aging out of therapy, or maybe not aging out of therapy, but like reaching a pinnacle to where maybe you don't necessarily need therapy anymore. Is that accurate?
Yes, I think that once your treatment goals are met, right? And those are things that we develop with our clients. What are we working on? What are the things, the maybe milestones or observable behaviors or experiences that let us know that you're improving and you're stabilizing? And once you reach that, that is where we start stepping back, right?
Yeah.
And we do this in a very structured way, right? We might go from weekly to bi-weekly to monthly to quarterly
Yeah.
to then call me if you need me.
There we go. Well, it seems like you've definitely created that space because you've created your own business. So we're going to dive into 3H counseling when we come back after this break.
Hey, so your peripheral is not as fun. Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back to Rooted in... Can we have a song?
No.
Rooted in Progress.
I'm sorry, stop. We're just going to mute all the mics right now. Welcome back, everybody. We are here talking to mental health counselor, Mrs. Dr. Carmen Smith.
Mrs. Dr. LMNOP,
Yes,
LHFO,
yes.
ABCDEFG, all the
letters.
Yes,
all the letters.
Great conversation that we're having. Let's dive into 3H counseling.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Let's see. 3H was created probably in undergrad. At that point, I knew that I wanted to hang a shingle, as we say.
Okay.
I wanted to have a business of my own where I could be more impactful in the way that I'm helping and directed. Because at that time, I was involved in different agencies, and agency work is important. And there are times where we are not as accessible as I'd like. And in order to have that kind of autonomy and control, I knew that I needed to have my own business. Wow. So that would have been early 2000s, and then completed my doctorate, and that was it. What was it? I think it's November 5th of 2000. What was it? 21. I think it was November 5th, 2021 was when I officially created 3H Counseling, a place of hope, help, and healing. And through that, have a 3-prong approach. So I offer therapeutic services, as we know, work with individuals, couples, families, and I offer workshops within the community. A lot of them are grant funded in ways that I've partnered with agencies or different learning centers. And the third prong would be supervision. So we, in our profession, are required to register with the state to become an intern, and then those intern hours are supervised by a Florida-approved supervisor. So my other prong is that I'm a Florida-approved supervisor, and I provide supervision for interns that are working towards licensure.
Wow.
Nice. Wow.
And that's my way of that, like extending that proverbial hand down and helping the next generation of helpers.
Wow.
That's amazing.
What are you seeing with that? Are you seeing that there's still a knack for people wanting to enter into this space professionally? Are you seeing a decline? What is that space looking like right now?
I personally have not noticed a decline. I have seen more,
of course,
interest and passion. And I think that's also why I love teaching and supervising. I've stepped away from teaching for the past 2 years now, but I was an adjunct professor at Antioch University. And for now, that's where it is. And for now, it's, supporting my interns. Yeah. And I love the passion and the energy and just watching as someone is stepping into their own, as they're developing their professional identity and figuring out what populations they want to work with and how they can connect and help others. It's just beautiful to watch.
Deanne mentioned earlier before our first break, the fact that if you're sitting with someone, what are some of the telltale signs that person could be struggling mentally?
I remind people to look at change in behaviors, right? So how are you eating? How are you sleeping? Are you noticing that you're less social? Are you pulling away from loved ones? Are you seeking? We call it connection-seeking behaviors. Are you doing things that are out of character or maybe unbalanced, where you're seeking to fill something or to feel something, and you're noticing that it is not it? It's not it. It's not where it's at. If there's any questioning of what you would like to do in your next step, right? That we can all get locked into the monotony of our jobs, of our life. And when you notice that there's something else and you don't quite know what it is, that's also a great time to step in because that's a time of identity exploration. And we're not the same people that we were yesterday, let alone 2 years ago. So those would be the ones. But when we're looking at maybe something more acute, like what you're saying, possibly of I might be in a deeper struggle and how do I know, then it would be looking at those immediate changes of behavior. Our thoughts may be darker than they used to be.
Well, and then the next step would be if I myself noticed a friend, the first thing I would ask, hey, are you okay?
But most people don't answer that question.
And they give the answer of,
realistically.
yeah, I'm fine, or yes, I'll be okay.
But take it a step further with that, y'all. When people ask that question and they're like, are you okay? And then they say no. What I found out, most people don't know how to respond to that.
Exactly.
That's
So
a good
even
point.
when we'll say like, oh, people don't answer that question correctly or honestly, but then when they do and they're not well, and then they're like, oh, okay. And like they don't even know.
Yeah, they're like, okay, friend.
Here's my friends. Call 3H counseling. But in all seriousness, yeah. How do you respond to that when they do say no, I'm not okay?
Yeah. And so I think it's knowing your lane though, right? Because we don't want everyone out here turning into little therapists.
Right, exactly.
And
Hold on, let me scroll through TikTok and see what it, yes.
That the sentiment is there. They want to help. The heart is in the right place and they may not have access to the skills that would lead to effective help. So again, like know your competencies, your capabilities, and how to direct them to somebody who could help. And I think the most important part is just the power of presence.
Yeah.
A lot of times people forget that you are doing something simply by being there.
Wow.
And being in an uncomfortable, dark space with someone or a vulnerable space, because it is vulnerable, right? To be able to say, no, I'm not okay.
Would you say be there and be consistent at it?
Consistency, yes. I want to acknowledge that in the timeline that we're living in, consistency can be difficult.
Yeah.
Because everybody's struggling.
Yeah.
So the power of presence of just being there and being available and having that connection with someone.
Yeah.
And it's not always about saying the right thing and having the perfect response for someone that says that they're not okay. Because sometimes part of them not being okay is the disconnect or feeling alone, that nobody else is feeling this way.
Yeah.
Nobody else is struggling. Everybody else seems to have it all together. And it's very performative.
Yeah.
Right? That we're all out here performing and masking. And there are those of us that are looking at others like, I'm not doing that. I'm really struggling. But they're not struggling. They seem to have it all together.
Right.
But baby, if these walls could talk.
Exactly.
Right. That part.
I say that in my office. I'm like, whoo.
Listen, we
Glad
all
this is a
put
safe
on a mask. Yeah. We all put on a mask like we got it all together. But if you was to look on the inside,
Listen,
man, look like
sometimes I say, I'm like, if my dog could talk, I'd be in a hell of a lot of trouble. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue this conversation when we come back. All right, welcome back into the Stream Center here, Rooted in Progress, live right now on the WFLA app and the WFLA Facebook page. If you're joining us after the fact, what's up, y'all? We have Dr. Carmen Smith, a licensed mental health counselor, founder of 3H Counseling over in Pinellas County. What would you say to someone who might be on the fence right now? Maybe they're like, okay, I might be a little interested in not even with you particularly, right? But maybe I'm interested in going to talk to someone, having that conversation. How do you tell them what should they be looking for in finding their therapist? Because I think a lot of people forget that, like, it's important for you to pick who you want to see and who you want to pour into, right? What should they be looking for when they're picking a counselor and a mental health professional to give them some advice and some help?
I think it's very important for everyone to understand that this is a space where you do get to choose. It is okay for you to choose a specific gender. This isn't you being biased or anything. It's okay for you to choose a specific ethnicity. That there may be things absolutely that we can work on for reasons why someone may be uncomfortable in a different space with someone that's different. However, when we're talking about setting the stage for people to feel comfortable, to open up their 3D, as I call it, their deep, dark, dirty, there are certain things that it is okay for you to specify. For those that might be interested, I like Psychology Today because their Find a Therapist on their platform kind of guides that process. It has a filter where you can select different things. You can select the therapist's training, their location, their experiences, insurance, if that is something that is necessary for accessing care. And if you're looking in the room, right? Because I also like people to remember that we are interviewing each other. We are assessing each other to see if this is a good fit. And I'm trying to figure out, are you even curious of just seeing me one more time and seeing if we can do this together?
Yeah.
And looking at and asking questions. It is absolutely appropriate to ask your therapist questions. Questions on what they may believe or what their stance is on something, how their previous work might have been with whatever area you're struggling with, if it's depression or anxiety or any type of attachment issues or abandonment or neurodiversity in any way. Those are appropriate questions. So I just remind them that when you're looking for someone, it is okay to look for things that might curate a relationship and an experience that sets the stage. And then when you're with them, it's still an interview process.
Yeah.
Ask the questions and see how it is. And give it 3 sessions.
Okay.
Give it 3 sessions
That's
because the
good.
first session is very clinical.
Yeah.
It's very much like, so
I will say, but you do leave and you be like, damn, I'm more messed up than I thought. Because you know, y'all's questions, it really digs and you go back to like the beginning. So then when you start going through stuff that happened, you're like, well, damn, that happened too.
Usually, and then by the time that 3rd session hit, you're going to sign up for 3 more because you realize like, oh man, I'm in worse shape than I thought. So
I know we're getting ready to wrap, but I want to circle back to you. You pour and give. Tell the folks how you pour into yourself and create space, because you do also have a really good time and have really fun activities that you do outside of work. But overall, with this question and why I'm bringing this up as we wrap things up, it's important for everybody to do that. Everybody needs an escape. Everybody needs to create space and make sure that they're having fun outside of, work and outside of family. So how do you do that?
Dance.
Look at you.
So
Any particular dance?
ballroom
Also,
dancing.
Ballroom dancing.
Yes.
Wow.
I do other things. I enjoy singing and painting and diamond painting, traveling.
Yeah.
So when
Really
she
make
mentioned
sure I travel.
when she mentioned "Rooted in Progress" needs a song, you're gonna write that.
Yes.
We're going to end with one. Twin.
I don't know
Where
about
have
that.
you
Vocally,
been?
no.
No, that's great. How
but-
did you find that? How did you you just went to a class?
Absolutely. No, actually, it started. I was in a car accident, and my neurosurgeon recommended ballroom dancing.
Wow.
And this was years ago, but I had a concussion that turned into post-concussion syndrome, and I was having some cognitive difficulties in left and right body and contra body movement, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
It was them recommending ballroom, and since then, it's been magic.
That's amazing.
And I love it.
I'm looking at, and Terrence gonna kill me because he's
Yes.
like, we need to wrap. Kelly Marie, I believe. What's up, Kelly? Thanks for joining us. She said, what types of insurance do you accept, and where's your office located?
My office is located in Jungle Terrace in Tyrone. So Tyrone area of Pinellas Park, and I am affiliated with the Costello Center.
Okay.
And the Costello Center operates with a fee for service, and you pay, and then you are able to submit your invoice to your insurances.
Gotcha.
So there are no specific insurances that we accept there. What we do is private pay, and then we offer you your codes, your diagnostic codes, and you can log into your portal and submit it, and then reimbursements are given directly to you.
Real quick, before we really have to go, do you do mobile or is it in person only?
I do both.
Okay,
so
good.
I offer telehealth services for virtual and
Telehealth,
in
yep.
person.
Yep.
Perfect.
Sweet. So, well, thank you so much.
Kari, you've been amazing.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to leave the people with?
Quickly.
I would say find the helpers. For everybody who's listening to this and maybe wondering or struggling and thinking that things are too big, find the helpers.
Find the helpers.
Nice.
Dr. Carmen Smith, founder of 3H Counseling, licensed mental health counselor and professional. We have been so thrilled to have you here on our show, friend.
Thank you so much.
And y'all, seriously, find the helpers. Try and get that help. Maybe ask yourself if you need to talk to somebody, see somebody. Me and my therapist go together real bad. Love her so bad.
Well, listen, and don't think you always have it together. I mean,
Right.
we all struggle, and it's okay to not be okay. So with that being said, we will see you guys next Thursday.
We are live every Thursday, 9:30 in the morning, live on the WFLA Facebook page and the WFLA app. If you don't have it, download that thing. And every episode is available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Y'all have a great